members that are present, please stand and be recognized. We have Laura Boers and Dr. Gloria Hopkins. Give them a hand, please. With us, we also have Superintendent Rick Atha, Dr. Rick Atha, and Deputy Superintendent, Dr. Steve Carter. Also, we have some long-time educational leaders from our community that are with us tonight. Ms. Florence Wilson, Ms. Wade Evans, and Mr. Charles O. Stones. In 1984, an idea was conceived whereby past graduates of Garden City High School might be honored for their accomplishments. This idea was brought into action in 1985 when the first members of Garden City High School Hall of Fame were inducted. In doing this, it shows that Garden City High School produces graduates who are second to none. 56 outstanding people have been inducted into Garden City High School Hall of Fame. We can be proud to have these individuals represent us. I'd like to have the past Hall of Fame inductees present tonight. Please stand and be recognized at this time. Each year, we add 2 more distinguished graduates of Garden City High School to the Hall of Fame. Tonight, we are honored to induct Janet Sears Reed of the class of 1975 and Alex Hurd of the class of 1975 into Garden City High School Hall of Fame. Now I'd like to have Mr. Ron come up at this time and introduce Ms. Reed.
It's a real honor to get to introduce your local inductee from the class of 75, Janet Sears Reed. Ms. Reed has had a 25-year career and is still going strong in education in our community. She's been one of those connector people, one of those glue folks that holds things together over the years, whatever she's been involved in, including your class from what I understand. She's also been the heart and soul of a lot of things that I've been involved in. It's been a real pleasure and an honor to work with Janet for all these years.
Okay, Mr. Morales, you'll appreciate this. I did write it in the same format we always used, okay? Thank you, Mark. First, thank you to the committee for selecting me this year. I also want to thank those of you in attendance tonight. My family, they're waving, my friends, and members of the school district and the community. I'm so honored to be selected as the local inductee for the Hall of Fame of my high school alma mater, and also my current place of employment. In high school, I was very active in Pep Club, the yearbook. I was a student aide, I was in science club, and I represented the high school in business competitions. If something needed to be done, I jumped in to help. I wasn't ever the officer of a group, and I found out years later that there was a point system, that you could only have a certain number of points in being an officer, and then they wouldn't let you be an officer. Except for yearbook, and I was yearbook editor and a yearbook executive. Pete and Dorothy McGraw, for whom I worked for several years, taught me to make sure that whatever I did, I needed to do it well. Pastor Tim, you tell us to connect, to grow, to serve, and you're so right about those things, because it does make a difference in our world. This is my 25th year in education, as Mr. Ron had stated, and I've learned much and I've enjoyed working with students from ages early childhood through the high school senior level. I'm at the point in my career where I'm now teaching children of my former students, and I know Florence understands that quite a bit because she's done that same thing. I've also taught some of the children of my classmates, and that was exciting also. I couldn't have done what I have done to date without the support and encouragement from my family, my friends, and my colleagues. I don't mind being the behind-the-scenes person, doing the work. At receptions and family gatherings, etc., you'll probably find me washing the dishes back in the kitchen and cleaning up in the kitchen. And to my sisters, don't laugh. I know I need to do that at home too, but I'm more likely to do that someplace else. Anyway, I've always strived to be a good citizen, a good parent, and a good educator. My hope for my children and my students were for them to become good citizens. Standing here tonight to talk about myself isn't easy for me to do. I'd much rather be talking about my students and my kids, but especially about my 21-month-old grandson, Eli. Thank you again for this honor. It's something I will always treasure. This evening. This is the first time ever that we've had two people from the same class who have been inducted into the Hall of Fame the same evening. We have a terrific class. We really do. Our class has been close since we were in high school, and we have remained close and very good friends. We unfortunately attended a funeral for a classmate just a few weeks ago. And there were several of us in attendance. I know others wanted to be there, but we're always there for each other, whether it's a good time or a bad time. I was the one who nominated Alex. I reconnected with Alex about 4 years ago, and after listening to him talk about his book that he had recently published, I knew that he really deserved being nominated to be someone in our Hall of Fame. I have the privilege this evening to introduce Alex Hurd, my classmate, and the 2014 out-of-town inductee into the Garden City High School Hall of Fame. And I'm going to ask Alex to come up because, Alex, you get to be my Vanna White tonight. I have had a wonderful time, and I know this comes from my yearbook stuff. He has a wonderful educational background. He attended Vanderbilt University. He's held editor positions for various magazines. He's a published author through Harper Publishing. But you can find any of that information online. Go to alexhurd.com or whatever it is, and you can find all that information out. What I would like to share with you is maybe a few things you didn't know about Alex unless you were in our class. Uh-oh, they're laughing at a table. We've been told that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and I have 6 pictures, so that's 6,000 words. So be prepared. When Alex was in high school, Alex was a proud member of the thespian troupe, and you can look at these photos later. Alex is standing here. He was in forensics, and it was too bad he couldn't get here early enough today. I wanted him to meet our forensics coach, Mr. Tidwell, maybe share some words of wisdom. Alex is a very serious-looking one down here in the front row, and this was for the informative and the oratory area. Then he was also an athlete. He's here with Mr. Kraft. I don't know if Mr. Kraft is pointing to him to explain the parts of a tennis racket or what you do, but that's what the photo showed. He also, in forensics, did dramatic interpretation. So here he is again looking very serious, and for those of us who remember the Mosaic Buffalo, which there is still one here, we almost always took pictures by that Mosaic Buffalo. I don't know why, but we did. This is his senior portrait. This is what's in the yearbook for Alex's senior portrait, and for those of us who know Alex, that's Alex, isn't it? And I couldn't end this any other way except to let you know that Alex in high school also, according to the yearbook write-up, was a brave and handsome hero in the play Adrift in New York. brave and handsome. I'm sure his wife will love to know that. I'm proud that two of us from this class are being inducted this evening. Alex, I'm happy you joined us, and he joined us only our freshman year, but I'm glad you joined the class of 1975 at Garden City High School. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Hurd.
Sister, I was coming back for the ceremony, she said something very insightful in an email. When I think of our parents, she wrote, I think of them as they were in Garden City. I do too, and that's a remarkable thing when you consider that my parents, who both are now gone, weren't Kansas natives. They were Southerners with deep connections to the family bonds, landscape, food, and culture of Mississippi. Almost everybody in my extended family came from Mississippi. That's where I was born too. My father, Dr. Kenneth Hurd, grew up in the university town of Oxford in the 1920s and 30s. And he remembered seeing William Faulkner walking around the town square where my grandfather owned the store. My mother, Lois, one of 11 kids, grew up on a family-owned cotton and cattle farm near a tiny town called Vaughn, where she said, and I always believed her, she had a pet pig named Pig who met her when she got out of the school bus. Both my parents had strong Southern accents they never lost. But after we moved here in 1972, they quickly grew to love Garden City, and Kansas became their second home state. Both were at a time in their lives when they needed a fresh start. And they got it here through a healing combination of work, community, church, friends, and fun that invigorated their later years. Everybody in my family, including my sister and two brothers, will always be grateful. My mom loved to hear a special. In addition to taking care of me, she tried out some new hobbies like playing golf and painting watercolors of Kansas landscapes. These worked wonders for her physical health and mental well-being. She also accomplished a long-deferred goal. When my parents met back in the 40s, he was training to become a pathologist and she was in nursing school. She dropped out to be a homemaker, and over the years she had tried and failed to go back and finish her education. She completed her degree right here at Garden City Community College, and she worked for several years as a nurse. When we moved here, I needed a fresh start myself. I was in 7th grade in Jackson, Mississippi, in federal courts after 16 years of resistance by state and local officials, cracked down in a way that led to overnight desegregation of public schools and massive white flight, all of which occurred during the Christmas break between 1969 and 1970. Almost everybody I had grown up with vanished into private schools over a period of weeks. My parents kept me and one of my brothers in the public school system for the next 2 years before we came here. It was an historic episode that I'm glad now that I was part of. I saw teachers of both races soldiering on, trying to make the best of a chaotic situation. But at the time, it was often pretty rough. Too often, I responded to the general upheaval by goofing off, not studying enough, and finding ways to get in trouble. That all changed once we came here. Even to my immature 9th grade mind, it became obvious immediately that the schools in Garden City were a central and stable part of the community in a way that I had not been experiencing in Jackson. I had a great time going to high school here, and I made friends who have turned out to be some of the closest friends of my life, some of them are here tonight. Their parents encouraged me and everybody I knew in everybody from the class of 1975 to all teachers who affected their lives positively. My short list would include names like Kraft, Lambert, Ugania, Hardesty, Beckerman, and Kentz. I'm sure the same is true for all the students who will graduate tomorrow. For my part, I could not be prouder to be a product of this town. When I was a student here, I had no idea what I wanted to pursue as a career. It never occurred to me that I might end up working in journalism and writing books someday. The path I took started right here. And I will always be grateful for the gifts I received at Garden City High School. Thank you very much.
In closing, I would like to thank you all for coming to the Garden City High School Hall of Fame. The class of 2014 would like to invite you to Garden City High School commencement exercises to be held tomorrow evening, starting at 7 p.m. in the gymnasium and here on Garden City High School campus. Please stay and join us for some punch and some cake, and thank you and have a good evening.